we're gonna get the muck knocked out this weekend. I wanted to be down here earlier, but see what happened. I finished up planting corn on, what was it, Monday. Tuesday it rained. Wednesday, what did I do Wednesday? What did I do? I don't remember. Anyhow, I didn't get down here until this is Saturday. But I got the grain drill cleaned out because I wanted to have some extra seed just in case I needed it down here. So grain drill's cleaned out, power washed. 66 is power washed. I got the barn lot mowed while I had the 66 out. That was Thursday's project. Yesterday, and hold on here, let me 65, and I want, hold on a second, what did I want? I think it was 350. 80, damn it, it was just still there in my calculator. 80, 120 divided by, yeah, 350. I was running about 65. Really? I want it that wide open, huh? Let's go 5. That's a lot. It's about 65. It was actually about 66. So yeah, let's go 5. Can't really go wrong there, because if it ends up going a little heavier, that's 350. If it ends up going a little lighter, that's 325. So either way, I'm somewhere in that range. So yeah, and then yesterday I got the fold lock cylinder fixed on the planter. That one, the rod seal was completely wiped out. The lip was gone off of it. It was cracked. It was junk. So that should work now. And then I had to work this morning. I got the fret spreaders filled up this morning. I had intended on coming down here Thursday, but then it ended up threatening to rain. Or no, that was yesterday. Yeah, I wanted to get down here yesterday. It ended up threatening to rain, so I didn't. And I was like, I thought about coming down here to disc that way, so I didn't want to obviously be spreading in the rain without a tarp, but I'd much rather disc it in. So I didn't really want to like disc it and then come down here and spread it and then run the mulcher over it, so that doesn't really. So this is how we're doing it. So I'd like to get it spread, disced, and possibly color mulch today, but we'll see. No matter what, I'll be planting tomorrow, so I'm not gonna, it's just a matter of if I'm planting tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon. So I'm not really gonna try to bust ass and kill myself to do do it today. So, oh, and all my corn sprayed. I had them spray with the big machine from work, so it's got Acuron, Atrazine, and Roundup on it. That all got done yesterday. So corn sprayed. I'm gonna spray the beans. We're gonna start working on that after hay. So, but anyhow, pitter patter. empty. Sounded like it anyhow. Oh boy. I don't know if anybody saw. If you go back in the video a little bit, I think I screened or like looked at the top of the spreader a little bit. If you saw, there was like some black chunky stuff on top. Those were floor sweepings from the dry building. We got it wasn't a super huge pile, maybe 1,500 pounds of just crap that we've been sweeping up off the floor, because when everything gets wet in that building, it is what it is. But we wanted it gone, and this was a perfect opportunity. It was free. I didn't have to weigh it. I just loaded my good stuff in and then threw that in on top with the loader. So win-win. I get a little extra fertilizer and we get it out of the building, so we don't got to work around it. So but that's what all that crap is. I'm actually kind of impressed. I figured I would have fought it a little bit coming out of the back of the spreader, but I didn't. So anywho, let's run this back and drop it, and go grab the desk. disc down. Weed control down here has really made leaps and bounds from when I took it over down there. I mean, it has down there too, but that freaking ragweed patch, which I got screwed on that last year because it was wet. The guys that farm to the south of me there took prevent plan on that 240 that they farm, and they only actually planted about, I think, like a quarter of it all the way down, way up against the ditch on the south side of that field. So everything up on this end turned into a ragweed forest, and I think I had some of it. I mean, there was ragweed out there over the summer that was like 8-9 feet tall, and it all went to seed, and so it all blew over here. And you can tell that ragweed down on that field came from like over there and up that way, because it's like the wind blew it, and when the trees start, the ragweed stops. So it's like the wind blew it in an arc, because it's like the first like 60-70 feet of the field on the south end of it, and then it arches up toward the house in that little dork of short rows up by the road, and then everything on this side where the trees start is all completely ragweed free. Which, the story I got told was the ragweed didn't really get bad down here until the guys that farm, well, actually it's all the same guys, but they farm that, they farm that, they farm that, they farm that, they don't farm that, that's a different farmer. But the story I got told is the ragweed down here didn't get really bad until they bought a used combine from down like southern Illinois, northern Missouri, somewhere down in there, where the Roundup resistant stuff really started to take off. And most of the Roundup resistance started in the southern states and migrated its way up here. Anyhow, they bought a combine, and apparently it wasn't cleaned out very well, and ever since they ran that combine, and then ever since then it brought that ragweed up here. I mean, I'm not saying there probably wasn't ragweed up here before, but from the story I got told was that was when the problem really started, was when they brought that combine up from down south. Which is why moving equipment between states, if you don't do a good job of cleaning it, you might get a little bit more than you bargained for. But anyhow, there's that story. And then I don't exactly know what the neighbors here had going on. I was down there disking and noticed that they were over here in my field. I don't care. They stuck right to the edge and drove up along their corn. I mean, there was nothing planted out here. It wouldn't work, no harm, no foul. I don't care. They've always been nice to me, but I was really confused because they came in with their tractor and bean planter, or corn planter, sorry, pulled off the road, went about halfway back, stopped, sat there for like 15 minutes, unfolded, ran like a goofy S-shaped pass heading that way toward the swamp, came back out, parked, folded up, sat for like 15 minutes, and then came back out and drove away. And there's corn in that field. It's up like V1, probably bordered on V2. So I don't know what, I was very confused when I saw what they did. I was like, I don't know. The mind boggles. But anyhow, I'm gonna let this stuff sit here and wilt for a day before I pack it back down with the mulcher. It's also 10 after 6 now, and I told Shelly we'd go out to dinner tonight because I haven't really been able to spend much time with her at all in the last like 3-4 weeks, and I don't think we've been out to dinner in about that same amount of time either. So I told her tonight we'd go out, and need to keep her happy. So, but like I say, I want to let this green stuff wilt anyhow before I pack it back down. So let this stuff wilt overnight, and I'll go home, get the tractor fueled up, get it hooked up to the mulcher so I'm ready, and all I gotta do is turn the key in the morning and go. But tomorrow morning we'll come down here, run the mulcher over it, and then get it planted, Probably gonna take a minute to get that planter set up for beans, because I need to want to shallow the depth up a little bit, because I don't want to plant them beans 2 inches in the ground. Probably get them up to like 1.5 inches, and play with the air a little bit. I looked at the book, got my settings. I still got to swap the chains on the transmission, but I know where I want to start. So it's gonna be a little bit of an experience, but we'll get her figured out. Once I get rolling, it ain't gonna take long, because since I won't have to stop for fertilizer, I'll just have to stop once to dump the rest of the seed in. This will go lickety split. Planting corn, it only takes me 2.5 hours to do both fields, so it won't take long to get finished up tomorrow. So we will catch you guys then. All right, it is Sunday morning, I think this is June 1st. Should be the 1st. Yep, June 1st. If I didn't have to work yesterday, probably could have been done planting before the end of May, but well, is what it is. Looks like everything wilted down pretty darn good overnight, which is exactly what we want to see. Got good moisture there, so we want to pack that back in. Well, you know, when I was talking yesterday about the ragweed, like, you can literally see, I don't know how well it shows up on camera, but you can see the swoop where the dirt gets clean and then where the ragweed starts, and it comes right up to the edge of the yard, and it's this little like check mark shaped thing, and it's all the ragweed blowing from over there this way, because there's none in any of the short rows, and it's all clean. It's all clean across the next field. There's none in my grandma's field. There's none in the next field down. It's all from here that way. Like I say, last year, because it was so wet and the guys took prevent plant on this and they let the ragweed get 9-10 feet tall, that didn't help none either. Kind of hit the reset button, but is what it is. So anyhow, we got to get this rolled back down so it plants nice, and then we'll get finished up. Okay, everything's all packed down. It was actually dry enough this year I could stand to run the tines down a little bit and tickle some of that green stuff a little further into the ground. So that worked out nice. It's always better when the ground down here is cooperative. When it's tacky like it was last year, there's just nothing fun. What are you? That's an ugly little spider. There's nothing fun about working this ground when it's still tacky. I mean, disking it when it's tacky, not bad, but trying to make it fit to plant when it's tacky is a no-go. And last year was just a fight all the way around, but especially down here. I will say though that this year has been the best planting conditions we've had in the last two. 2023, it was good and dry, but the problem is it was too good and too dry, and there was no moisture to be found at planting depth at all. So you were planting into nothing. And then last year was the complete opposite. It wouldn't stop freaking raining, so we were planting into the mud. This year, ground's dry enough to work, but it's not so dry that there's no moisture at planting depth. We've been getting timely rains. We have some more coming this week, hopefully. The pop-up ones they've been predicting, they ain't been predicting worth a shit. But so far this year, the ones that they've been predicting like a week ahead of time, they've actually been doing a fairly good job on. So hopefully that trend continues. We shall see. But anyhow, run this thing home, park it, get seed loaded up my pickup, and get stuff moved down here so we can start planting. All right, this is gonna be interesting, an interesting learning experience. I already reset my transmissions. Did that before I left the barn. All I had to change, I had to flop it from this sprocket to this sprocket. This sprocket stayed the same, then I had to jump from that sprocket to that sprocket. Actually, with these beans, the plates actually turn slower, at least with the plates I have in it. With the corn, you're running 30 cell corn plates. With the beans, you're running 60 cell, and they have two different bean plates. There's a 60 cell single bean, and then there's a 60 cell double bean. These are double bean plates. You see they got the little notch right there at the edge of the plate, and then that guy right there. So each cell holds 2 beans. So this is actually a 120 bean plate. When the plate's all the way loaded, there'll be 120 soybean seeds in it. So it actually turns slower than a corn plate because it's loaded up so much. At least with the population I'm shooting for at about 90,000. The gear ratio I had to put in it was actually 92,000. I had 2 options. It jumped from 88,000 to 92,000. I'd rather err on the side of a little bit higher than a little bit lower, so I went for the 92. I was shooting for 90, or when we planned this, the plan was for 90. So if I masked that out, it needed 15.1 something. Grab my planner book. It's like 15.16 or something bags. I had 15 bags planning on 90. I brought that bag with me, and I got one more at my house from cleaning out the drill. That partial that's in there is actually from last year. I want to get rid of it first before anything else, just because I don't want it sitting around. So transmissions are set. How much fertilizer do I have in here? I don't think there's much. There's not a whole lot. They should be. It's been sitting long enough. They should have equalized. So what I'm probably gonna do is pop the chain off, because I don't really want to run it dry. So I'll probably pop the chain off the fertilizer drive, plant my end rows on, and then once I start on my regular rows, throw the chain back on that way, and I'll get some flags out of the truck so I know where my first row with fertilizer is and where the last one is. I have no yield monitor, so I have no way to check it. It's going to be more of a visual thing, but it's just going to be an interesting kind of little, see what difference there is, if there's any difference with starter fertilizer or not. On soybeans, even if there's a little bit of a difference, I doubt there's enough to pay for applying starter, but I got it in the planter. Might as well play with it a little bit. So I got to do that, and then I have to reset my depth. According to, and I got to do that while it's picked up. According to the book, a half a turn on the crank is equal to 1/8 of an inch of depth change. So a full turn's a 1/4 inch. I'm planting it about 2 right now. I might go 2.5 turns. That'll put me at like an inch and 3/8 ish. I'll go 2 turns on it. That should put me around 1.5 inches. We'll check it, see how I feel about it, and we'll go from there. That's what we're gonna do. So let me get loaded up and we'll get rolling. All right, fertilizer chain's off, depth reset. We're full of seed. We'll have to get the plates loaded up, so I'll probably have to readjust my air pressure. Monitor's running. We're in field operation on the fold box. PTO is on. Just let's see what happens. Recalibrating itself for the higher population. 2. How we looking as far as getting the plates filled up? Probably, you can see like that one right there is fluttering a little bit. They are all full. Bump the air up just a hair. That's a little bit more than a hair. And a little high. Gauge is a little sticky. It's about 2.5. Let me dig up some seed, see how we're doing on depth. Alright, I found some seed. Because it's muck and that thing's sinking so much, we are still about 2 knuckles deep. So I think I might go another full turn and see where that gets us. So I'm just planting along and watching the monitor, making sure that it's getting itself figured out with the higher population and watching everything going on. Next thing I know, I lose this entire wing. Couldn't figure it out. Finally got back here and got to looking. A bolt fell out of that coupler right there. That one down right there. So got to get a bolt back in it, and then we're back rolling. That scared the crap out of me. I was like, why isn't it working? Couldn't figure out if it was the monitor, if it was the planter, what, but we got her. We got her figured. Alright, I've been planting for a little while. I've had to fiddle with it and adjust the sprockets a few times, and it's a little bit of a learning curve setting this thing up for beans. It's still not perfect, but it's good enough to get this stuff done. So now I threw the fertilizer chain back on, so now we're gonna start this little trial plot, if you want to call it that. So I got a flag there to mark my start, and then I got another flag here we'll put in when it runs out. So this field's done. As far as the fertilizer plot, I basically had enough to do 16 rows. I ran out about 3/4 of the way heading back, so I flagged it out as 16, and with something to watch, I guess. So hopefully it's gonna be close. Hopefully I have enough seed. So I'm gonna refill and we'll head down and do the other one. you don't cut it any closer than this. I mean, you can shave it a wee bit closer than this, but not by much. I'm basically out. Well, I am out. I got to now probably about 10-15 yards back when the road started cutting out. I was, let's see, it would have been 8 rows over, and I had a row run out. I had enough seed to shuffle around and even the boxes out. I made it down. Had one row that wasn't quite right, so I shuffled some more seed around to even the boxes back out, and then got down, like I say, got like 10-15 yards. They started dropping out, and I've only got like 2 that are still planting. So I dropped the transmission speed 2 gears from down there because I was actually planting a little high down there. By the math, I was putting on about 95,000. So if I would have been 1 gear under that over the whole thing, we would have been perfect. But since we weren't, I dropped down. I figured out what I still needed to get this done, and I dropped down 2 gears. And I'm glad I went down 2 gears instead of 1, because like I say, it came out. There's gonna be like one little like bald spot for like 4 rows because I'm overlapping. And that's the kicker. If I could have emptied out those 4 rows, dumped those 4 rows into these 4 rows, I'd have had enough to finish, because I'm overlapping 4 at this point. Because this I don't know how this field ended up wedge shaped, unless that, well, it's got to be that property line. I guess it could be either one, but anyhow, you start off with 8 full rows back there, and then you drop down to about 6, and then you drop down to 4 once you get all the way down here. So technically I would have had enough seed if I could have, and if I'd have had a vacuum with me or something, I might have went after it and tried to do it just to say I did it, but I don't have a vacuum with me. So like I say, it'll just be a goofy spot here for about 4 rows, about 15 yards long, but that's basically going to be meaningless. So with that being said, plant 2024 complete, and this is the most nervous that I've been running this planter since, I mean, I wasn't even this nervous running it for the very first time. It's an experience. And I didn't have a good flat spot to check it, or check population, so I was trusting the monitor. Well, the monitor's off by about 5,000 apparently, because it was saying I was putting, actually it'd be off by about 7,000, because it was saying I was putting on about 88,000, and apparently, or by the math, I was putting on about 95,000. So the monitor's off on beans. So that was a bit of a learning curve, but now I can go in the book and mark off the line where it's going to be at 90,000, and because soybeans in the plates aren't nearly as finicky as corn is. So like I say, I'll mark that line in the book so that next time I know, and we'll be good. So it'll be interesting to see how this turns out. Hopefully we have a dry fall. That's all I can hope for, because if we got a wet one, we're gonna have a bad time. So anyhow, I'm gonna get this thing home. I should keep doing stuff. It's 7:15. Probably by the time I get everything moved home, get everything home, I'm gonna call it a day, and we'll start fresh tomorrow. So, but now that planting's done, I got a brush hog job I got to get done. I got 2 custom plowing jobs to get done that I wish I never would have promised I'd have done. We got to get equipment cleaned up, got to get hay cut, got to get beans sprayed, which I'm honestly, with the things I got lined up on my plate, contemplating having Bob from work or spray my beans with the big sprayer too. We'll see how this week goes. And then got to start getting 525 ready for wheat, which it's basically ready. I just got to do some work on the head. I got to get some wooden parts off of it and go and have Grandpa make some, because he's got all the good woodworking stuff. His combine's basically ready. It ran 8 acres with it last year, la-di-da. Put fuel in. I'm not even going to change oil, dump fuel in it, and away we go. But so the next 4 weeks are going to be busy, busy, busy. So once we get hay out of the way, it's not going to be bad. It's just, we got some rain coming up this week. We're starting to see more rain in the forecast, which I'm not sad about. But now that I want to make hay, it's like, okay, give me a dry week. But be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. So anyhow, I guess that's it for this one. We'll catch you guys on the next one. I do believe I said plant 2024 complete. Meant plant 2025. It's been a long, stressful day.